E3 has come and gone, and the companies have given the audience a fair share of new information, and a fair share of disappointments. I was hoping to make a few separate videos about particular video game announcements, but I sadly found this year's slew of presentations to be underwhelming. Well, most of them at least. So with that, I'm going to share my thoughts on particular game announcements and what interests me from these companies. First up was EA, and I have to say they at least made a few announcements that got me interested. Need for Speed Payback looks more akin to Burnout, a franchise that remains dormant. It seems as though EA would rather support a single vehicle-focused franchise. Burnout had a different kind of philosophy for its gameplay, and it's good that we'll at least be seeing that in this upcoming Need for Speed game. A Way Out, a cooperative split-screen game about finding a means of escape. Very interesting concept that sounds like something from a few generations ago. And it looks pretty fun. Wrap this up with a good story and narrative, what you've got is a very solid game. The only thing that irks me is split screen is such an unknown luxury at this age of gaming that I guess it can be a selling point now. EA would end their conference with talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2, and get as close as they ever will to admitting the humongous negative feedback was very much justified. I find that admirable. Now, when will they apologize for Mass Effect? And from what they've shown, it looks like a big improvement, and the icing on the cake, they claim all future DLC for it in its first 6 months will be free. While the first Star Wars Battlefront was indeed a letdown, I say that might be worth having some optimism for this upcoming game. Next up was Microsoft, revealing an upgraded version of Xbox One called Xbox One X, or Xbox. Wow, clever. The most powerful console ever made, huh? And you choose to show off Minecraft. Amazing. I mean, it's at least cool that they announced the game's servers will be shared with other platforms including Nintendo Switch, but come on, Minecraft? $500 is a steep price tag, no doubt, but I'll give them credit where it's due. If this console can really deliver a native 4K resolution at 60 frames per second for all games, that's pretty cheap. No PC build that costs $500 or under will be able to perform like that. This is assuming the Xbox One X will be able to do all this without any screw-ups. I'm sure most people are aware how badly the PS4 Pro performed out of the gate. Oh wait, it can't perform 60 FPS for all games. And its gigahertz is crap. They still have a long way to go as far as I'm concerned. Besides that, a ton of games. Pretty much none of them were exclusive though. Herein lies the problem with Microsoft. Anybody that has a decent PC build and doesn't necessarily care for 4K gaming, such as myself, have no reason to actually go out and purchase this upgraded console. There's no experience I'm going to miss from lacking an Xbox One X. Although they did announce a Cuphead release date, so Microsoft wins. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bethesda has a rather short conference. More versions of Skyrim. Jesus Christ. Fuck that noise, we finally get a glimpse of The Evil Within 2. I'm not a fan of Bethesda's flagship titles, but I applaud them for the tremendous marketing and publishing power that they provided for Tango developing their first game. Despite it being a AAA action horror game, The Evil Within would go on to sell more than 4 million units. That is unprecedented in this era, especially when the game doesn't bear the name Resident Evil. Well, it bears half the name. I'm glad that they continue to support Tango for this new adventure. From the bits of gameplay we've seen in the trailer, it looks like a heavy improvement in its mechanics and the enemy design is looking exquisite. Probably the highlight to the original game, this looks even better. Next was a funny way to introduce a new Wolfenstein. Gameplay and atmosphere looks top notch, as expected. Wolfenstein: The New Order was one of the best single-player first-person shooters of this generation. As I expected, considering the game was developed by significant ex-members of Starbreeze Studios and were responsible for The Darkness, one of the best single-player first-person shooters of last generation. And the best thing about both of these games, they're coming out in October of this year. Hell yeah, now that's a new game announcement for you. Let's take a look at Devolver Digital's conference. Let's take a look at Ubisoft's conference. So they made a deal with Nintendo to cross over Mario characters with the Rabbids and make XCOM? What? Maybe children aren't the only audience they're trying to appeal to, but I think, especially with the inclusion of the Rabbids, they're part of it. So why make something as kid-unfriendly as strategy games like XCOM? Maybe I'm not giving kids enough credit these days. Just because I was an idiot doesn't mean everybody else is. right? Next was Skulls and Bones. Looks pretty gorgeous, but can't really trust Ubisoft, right? After how boring Sea of Thieves looked during Microsoft's press conference, I can say this gameplay looks somewhat enjoyable. Although they only showed ship battles, and the devs claim there will be a lot more than that to this game. Looks like they're not too far in development since the release quarter is close to the end of 2018. Oh my god, I'm kind of sick seeing how early these games get announced. Hell, Sea of Thieves was in Microsoft's conference from 2 years ago, and that's not out until next year either. Also, Beyond Good and Evil 2 to finish up their conference. A huge announcement since players of the original game have been begging them to develop a sequel for more than a decade. I unfortunately haven't had a chance to play the game, despite owning it on PlayStation 3 for years now. Maybe I should start. Either way, it was kind of genuine and heartwarming seeing the developer on the verge of tears while expressing to the world how grateful he is that Ubisoft is giving him this opportunity. He directed the original game as well as those 2 incredible Rayman games of recent history, so yeah, it should be great. After that would be Sony. Wouldn't be complete without an Uncharted preview screwing up. Missing sound, which bled onto Horizon showing off new DLC. Days Gone shows another gameplay trailer. This stealth aspect is a total snooze fest if I'm going to be honest. However, they show off more of its crowd control focused gameplay, which is the only aspect of this game I find particularly interesting. Coming out by the end of this year, I think. Next would be a brand new Monster Hunter game for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and then eventually PC. Monster Hunter World, and holy shit, it looks like a PlayStation 3 game. This isn't an insult, by the way. All the games never really got past its original PlayStation 2 roots in regards to graphical output, probably due to the fact that the series migrated to portable systems. The series has such incredible monster designs, and this kind of graphical output only makes them look even better. While I'm a big fan of the previous entries, this title developer says he is designing it with Western audiences in mind. There's going to be a lot of changes, so I'm a little wary with how this title will turn out. After that, a story trailer to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Graphics are one thing, but god damn, these designs don't stop being repugnant. Chun-Li especially became a laughingstock, and for good reason, just look at her! Next up, oh, are you kidding me? Shadow of the Colossus again? Perhaps I'm being too negative. I understand how much love there is for this particular game. I just can't justify purchasing this again. Hell, the only reason I bought the Ico/Shadow of the Colossus collection on PlayStation 3 is because I never played the former and lost my original copy of the latter. The textures certainly look magnificent, but unless there's new content, I'm not interested at all. Maybe finish up those colossi that were left on the cutting board? Come on, make it worth our while. Make this a new experience to some degree at least. Next, God of War shows a big, silly looking buddy. Alright. Detroit gameplay shows that it lets you do what real people in Detroit probably do from time to time. I know my research, I've seen RoboCop. To end the show, Sony shows off a new gameplay demonstration to the upcoming Spider-Man title by Insomniac Games. A lot of people are complaining that the combat looks too much like the Batman Arkham series. While I agree to some extent, it looks more akin to Spider-Man in previous titles. More dynamic, more mid-air involvement, feels less like a floaty ribbon that punches people. I'm personally more interested with how it feels traveling across the city and scaling buildings. There hasn't been a decent Spider-Man game in nearly a decade. After how satisfying and fun it was to travel in Sunset Overdrive, I think Insomniac Games can really nail it for everyone's favorite wall crawler. So, these conferences have been pretty underwhelming. Can Nintendo save me from this grand show of mediocrity? They start off with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, set to launch by the end of the year. I have to be honest, the character designs look ridiculously generic. As dumb as some of the characters looked in X, at least they were distinguished when compared to other games. Next would be a new Kirby game. 4-player co-op, you get to play as the enemy lineup, nothing particular that we haven't seen before, but good stuff nonetheless. Wonder if there will be drop-in, drop-out online co-op. For some reason, they go into Game Freak Studios and ask the designer of Pokemon if he's making a game for Switch, and he responds with, "Yeah, of course I am. Are you stupid?" Next up is a big surprise, the official teaser for Metroid Prime 4. Probably the only game Nintendo fans beg for more than a new F-Zero installment. Of course, this probably won't be for another year or two. Also worth noting, the development team is new. I suppose Retro Studios is working on something else, but one of the original game's producers is on board for this new Metroid Prime project. Yoshi's Epic Cardboard, coming in 2018. Whoopee. Breath of the Wild DLC info, amiibos. Rocket League for Switch. This direct is really becoming a bit of a lull. Crossplay servers though, like Minecraft, so that's good. Then, whoa, what is this, Monster Hunter? Oh wait. What? Oh hell yeah! Super Mario Odyssey is looking better and better. And we get a release date. More goodness for this holiday season. And that was it, for their direct at least. Less than 25 minutes. Shortly after, they would announce a couple more games. Metroid Samus Returns, a retelling of Metroid 2, a game that desperately needed to be retold. Wow, 2 Metroid games announced on the same day. That's pretty awesome. This is being developed by Mercury Stream. Yeah, these guys. While I absolutely despise their Castlevania titles, they weren't necessarily unplayable. They just weren't a good fit for that franchise. I hope the company understands what makes Metroid special and releases an enjoyable title that'll make Metroid fans such as myself happy. That counter mechanic looks sweet though. Mario & Luigi's Superstar Saga is also getting a remake on 3DS. Completely rebuilt from the ground up, and the sprites look even more gorgeous. It also comes with a new mode known as Bowser's Minions. See? Right out the gate, they promise brand new content for a remake. This is what I like to see first and foremost. Both this and Metroid are launching at the end of the year. Fall is going to be a detriment to my wallet, I can tell you that much. So this was pretty much all that interested me during E3. To my surprise, there were a lot of no-shows. I mean, this is the biggest gaming event every single year. Guess I just figured companies would take advantage and show off The Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, Red Dead Redemption 2, Yakuza 6, Super Smash Bros. 4 on Switch. I know you're making it, Nintendo, you greedy bastards, don't deny it. I know you're trying to make everyone forget the Wii U existed. No More Heroes 3, Resident Evil 2 remake, or we'd at least see some more surprises, especially from Sony considering the last 2 E3 conferences. Regardless, at least I can see the paths these companies are trying to make for themselves and have more upcoming games to look forward to. Anything particular that caught your interest at E3 that I didn't bring up? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, just a little update. Please excuse the lack of videos. I'm just starting to play catch up with some projects, but I really wanted to take in E3 and chalk up my overall feelings. But I've got some neat videos coming up soon. Working on a game review, some good old Dead Rising videos I know you guys love, and another big retrospect. One that will be released in pieces separately. That way it won't end up being a single humongous 2-hour-long video, and easier for people to keep tabs on so they don't lose their place. I understand people don't have time to sit there and watch a video that long, so I'm going to plan this out better. Alright, hope you guys stick around and enjoy my future projects.